Airtech More Torch here, and I'm back to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 9, and my thoughts on this episode. I thought the episode was an okay episode. I did enjoy it. I think there were not really any problems with this episode, which is very surprising to me. I am very glad we have now stopped getting the filler shit, because it looks like when they're actually focused, these writers might actually make decent episodes. So I don't think they can handle episodic. I think they need to just concentrate on the main story if this series has a future. Still think it's going to get cancelled. But I think the best part of this episode was the backstory on Mariner and everything we found out in that one scene. I think that's the best scene in all of Lower Decks history. I'm not being hyperbolic. I genuinely think that one scene gave you more backstory, gave you more purpose, gave Mariner such, I would say, a likeable character. And, you know, finding out that about her and how she explains herself, the only thing that was going through my mind afterwards was, why did it take the writers till season 4 to do this? How the fuck did you not put this scene, or at least this fucking backstory for Mariner, in season 1 or season 2? That scene gives Mariner gives Mariner an excuse for why she is what she is. And it's insane that you waited this long to tell us that. So, I don't think there was any problems with this episode. I did enjoy it, and this is the first episode I've actually considered watching again. It was that good. Again, what I've been saying for ages now, rewatchability. And if the writers could have focused a lot more on all of the episodes, like this one episode, maybe this series would have a future. I'm still thinking it's getting cancelled. But yeah, overall, I liked the episode. I enjoyed a lot of the scenes. I also enjoyed the, ending. I think the reveal is okay. It's not massive, but I am looking forward to next week's episode. So what would I give this episode out of 10? This is pretty hard for me. Usually it's either a 0, 1 or 3. I might go to a 7. 7.5. Yeah, I'll go 7.5. It's a 7 out of half out of 10. I think this is the best episode of the season so far. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to next week's episode. So, let's go to spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So, the episode starts out with the Lower Decks crew, or at least Mariner and Boimler, being sent to a research base where the researchers are studying some poisonous birds. The scientist kind of explains what happens if you get poisoned by them. Apparently your eyes blow up or something. And basically Mariner and Boimler are there to repair their security systems so that the birds don't get in and kill them. And we do kind of get these kind of, I wouldn't say they're funny jokes, but the lead scientist, he's really fascinated with the birds. He loves the birds. Then suddenly the security fence turns off and he starts going insane. And Boimler tries to fix the security system. Oh yeah, I was talking about the jokes. Yeah. And it was just, I know that's supposed to be a joke. Like 1 minute he loves the birds, then the next minute he doesn't. That's not really funny. And again, that's a big problem with Lower Decks, putting in jokes they seem to think are funny and just not. But anyway, so the birds have turned off or broken a security fence, well, at least one part of it, and now they're running into the base. And now the scientists start panicking, putting on their suits to protect them from the birds, or at least the poison. But Mariner decides not to put on a suit. She runs out there, jumps over all the birds, and gets to the security by the fence, and manages to fix it and reactivates the security fence. And Boimler's kind of shocked because, Mariner could have died. She put herself at way too much risk. And now he's concerned because this is something she keeps doing. When they get back to the Cerritos, we do again get the scene where the scientist gets attacked by one of the birds and his eyes get blown up. Again, supposed to be funny. I couldn't give a shit, personally. Anyway, so they go back to the Cerritos. Boimler talks to Tendi and Rutherford about it, Mariner's situation. Why does she do this? Why is she so, suicidal in some cases? And it turns out that they're not the only ones worried about this. Mariner's mum, the captain, comes in and says, why is Mariner trying to kill herself? Like, what is pushing her to do this? And so they have decided that they need to keep an eye on Mariner and keep her away from anything dangerous. So when the Cerritos gets sent on a mission to protect important figures in the Federation, because it looks like the mysterious ship is now starting to target certain individuals, the Cerritos is sent to collect a person, Nick Lacano, I think his name was. So Cerritos can be sent off to get him. We do get an Easter egg in this 7 and 9. I mean, kind of not sure what she's doing right now, because is she in Starfleet or has she joined the Rangers? I mean, we're still not really too sure on, Lower Decks' well, at least we're not really sure, or at least I'm not sure on where this show's set in the Star Trek time. Like, how far in front, how far are we from the Dominion War? How far are we to, Picard season 3? We don't really find that out in this show, unfortunately. But anyway, so Cerritos is going to go get this Nick guy and protect him because apparently he's someone of importance. But they don't want to bring Mariner on this mission because, again, she has been really suicidal, trying to get herself killed in multiple cases, which the second in command talks about. Apparently she nearly crashed a shuttle and opened an airlock or something. So Mariner's pretty much gone off the deep end. She's like worse than what she was in season 1, apparently. So the captain sends the crew, the Lower Decks crew, off to do a boring mission to keep Mariner safe. So she sends them to go fix some sort of weather platform which is scanning a nearby field. But the Lower Decks crew know that they need to tell Mariner that this is a dangerous mission, otherwise she won't go. And they need her to get off the Cerritos so she doesn't get put in danger. So Mariner and Tendi make up some story about, they're going to a dangerous area where they're going to, find some intelligence or something. I don't really remember what they said, but basically they go on a dangerous mission, and that's how they get Mariner. And they tell Mariner that, and she agrees to go. Rutherford stays with the Cerritos for the captain, and and the Vulcan woman goes with Boimler, Tendi, and Mariner. Because again, I don't know, is she becoming like a constant in this show now? I don't really know. Yes, she is, but will she be staying for next season? I don't know. Anyway, so they head off. The Cerritos arrives at a criminal planet, and it turns out this is the same one, or at least what's it called? New Axton. Whatever. Yeah, that's the planet they go to. New Axton. It's basically a criminal planet. If you watch Next Generation, you know what this planet's like. Criminal planet controlled by mobs, you know, underworld people, and yeah, this is apparently where the ex-Starfleet officer is, who they need to get. They can't exactly use the Federation's power in this region because it's an independent planet, and the Federation is something that, like, well, they don't want to be too harsh here, because again, they still want to be diplomatic. They still want to try to be friends with other planets, and if they try to force their way onto the planet, could start trouble and stuff like that. So the captain talks to the I don't know, local police or whoever's in charge of the spaceport, trying to get access to the planet. They tell them they can't go this way, or at least they have to wait for a shuttle to take them to the planet and go wait behind the moon. In this episode, we do get the kind of weird jokes about, you know, everybody hating Starfleet for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why people would find that funny, but okay. So the captain reluctantly agrees to go wait for a bus, basically, to the planet. Oh, and then she gets annoyed when they let some random alien in a mask go first and land on the planet straight away. Well, they don't understand why that person's allowed to do it, but they have to wait. But the guy pretty much, who's in charge of the spaceport, pretty much just says, I don't care if you're Starfleet, you have to wait. Now, basically piss off behind the moon and wait for a bus. So they agree, turn the Cerritos around and wait by the moon for the bus, basically. We go back to Mariner, Tendi and Boimler, who are fixing the station, where they are apparently being spied on by a cloaked Klingon bird of prey. I'm going to say something now that's probably going to annoy some Star Trek fans. I am kind of getting tired of the bird of prey as the only ship we ever see of the Klingon Empire these days. That's the one ship you'll always see. Now I get it. The bird of prey is like the AK-47. Like, it's reliable, it's cheap, and it's very powerful. Can we get something new? Like, I know I don't want Kurtzman Trek to make anything new. I get that, but, you know, you've got to update stuff eventually. Like, Starfleet has updated most of their fleet, yet the Klingons are still using technically designs from 200 years ago now. Can we, you know, evolve it a little? Like, maybe a different design, or at least some added parts to it? I'm just saying, again, the bird of prey, AK-47 of Star Trek, it's great. It's just something new, please. But anyway, so the bird of prey decloaks, starts attacking the lower decks crew. Mariner just grabs control of the shuttle and tries to evade them, but the bird of prey is too powerful and too fast. So Tendi manages to get the transporters working and beams all four of them down onto the planet. When they get on the planet, they start seeing random aliens attack each other. Like a Ferengi get attacked by a a Romulan, and then it turns out it was a trap for a Klingon. And when the Klingon then attacks them, it's pretty much revealed that it was a trap. Both start attacking the Klingon, but he can hold his own. And then Mariner, for some reason, tries to also get involved. And yeah, she starts to regret it when she sees that he's actually a Klingon, and she can't really handle that right now. It also turns out all of these aliens on the planet are all of the crewmen from the missing ships. So that's what they are. So that's where the guy has been. That's where the person who's been stealing the ship has been throwing all the crew on some random planet and letting them hunt each other. It did feel a lot like Predators, you know, from the Predator franchise, with that film where the Predators started dropping like special forces people or criminals on that planet, and they started hunting them down and stuff. It did feel a little bit like that, and I was starting to think, are we just going to get a rip-off of that for Star Trek? But turns out no, like it's kind of like that, but not completely. Like you'll find out later in the episode that basically they're just doing this to survive. They all then start to work for each other. But let's get up to that. Anyway, so Mariner gets chased by the Klingon, and they start fighting each other. And then it starts raining glass, or at least glass daggers, and they then have to both get into shelter, because if they stay out there too long, they're going to die with all the blades getting smashed inside them. So, or at least stabbing them. So they find a cave. They get there. Mariner starts, panicking because the Klingon doesn't want to start fighting. He wants to start talking, and so this is the scene that I am going to say is the best scene in Lower Decks history. I'm going to go that far. So the Klingon gets Mariner to open up, because Mariner's like, well, we're both going to die one of us is going to die anyway, so if I die, I won't care that you tell people about this, and if you die, well, nobody's going to know what I tell you. So Mariner starts to talk about, her promotion, and why how she feels about it. And then we get this great story, which is she starts to explain, like, I don't want this promotion because I don't want to have people die because of me. And then she explains by, when she was a cadet, when she was, in Starfleet Academy, she wanted everything. She wanted to explore the galaxy, become a captain, do everything that she heard from the stories of Kirk and Picard, and that she had a friend who she looked up to because this person was better than her. She was, stronger than her. She, was dedicated to the Federation, and she looked up to her in that way because she was everything that Mariner wanted to be. But when her and her friend got into Starfleet, unfortunately for them, it was the start of the Dominion War. And I really like this because, again, for a lot of new fucking shit Trek, like, they seem to just ignore the Dominion War, the most bloodiest war in the Federation's history, and it barely got talked about until season 3 of Picard. So Mariner talks about this and how a friend who was supposed to be, who wanted to be an explorer, a scientist, got apparently ordered to become a spy against the Maquis, who also had to become a spy against the Dominion. And when that happened, something went wrong on one of her missions, and she got killed because of it. And Mariner, who wanted to be a scientist and explore herself, ended up having to fight in a war. And the reason she hates this, the reason she has been like this from the beginning, causing trouble, drinking, is because of her friend's death. And how she doesn't know, did she die for a reason? Did she die for a fake fantasy of the Federation? Like, when she wanted to become an officer in the Federation, she wanted to be a scientist, an explorer, not a soldier. She even says in the scene, I don't want to be promoted to a general. That's not what I joined Starfleet for. And I love this scene because it felt real. When you watch Deep Space Nine and you see what happens to the Federation in that point, you know, you can see a change. And this is what you could have done with these new shows, Kurtzman, you fucking arsehole. You wanted to have a dark episode, but you wanted to have a dark season of Star Trek. You could have had a spin-off of Deep Space Nine with Sisko's son and showing him how the Federation changed from being a science fleet to a military fleet. That could have been so interesting. You could have brought in the fucking Section 31. You know, they got exposed by Bashir, but then the Federation said, yeah, they're real, but we're going to let them stay and work, and now you can see their influence around the Federation again. Like, the stuff you could have done with Star Trek after Deep Space Nine and after Voyager. It's insane that they didn't do this. One scene in Lower Decks, and it was just so good to see that. To see somebody putting a mirror up to the Federation saying, have we changed? Was it right? You know, basically saying, like, was the Federation right to become a military? Was the Federation right to fight a war? You know, showing that Mariner is not this stupid bitch or this annoying cunt. Like, there's a reason for this. Like, she feels so depressed about the fact her friend died for a fantasy. And how she doesn't want to be promoted to be put in a position where she may have to order people to die. And that was such a great scene for Mariner's character. And again I ask, how did it take 4 fucking seasons to get that? This should have been season 1 to season 2, not season 4, episode 9. But, yeah. So, the scene ends with the Klingon going to Mariner and saying, listen, your friend died. But would your friend want you to be like this? To destroy your life? To destroy your career? To not do anything with it? And this kind of helps Mariner kind of, I wouldn't say get over it, but kind of realise what she's doing is wrong. That she shouldn't just hide away. If she wants to be the change, if she wants to make Starfleet into what it was, you can't just be an ensign. You have to be a captain. You have to be an admiral. You want this change, then work for it. And that kind of makes Mariner happy. She hugs the Klingon and says thank you. And I like the scene. Again, it just showed a real character there. And I did really like that. We got to go back to Cerritos, where the captain beams down on the criminal planet, and we just get endless kind of dumb scenes of, like, everybody hates Starfleet, the captain looks out of her depth, and then she attacks a a midget alien because he has information about where the Federation officer is, or the ex-Federation officer, and he then won't sell it to her because she attacked him, basically. And then the mysterious guy that got let past the Cerritos, he buys the information, and yeah, it turns out it's mission failed for the captain, Rutherford, and the Bajoran security guy. So they head back to the shuttle where they think they fucked up, but it turns out the captain did this all as a ploy, did it all as a cover, to make sure it was easier for her agent to get the information. And it turns out the alien who, with the mask, was the engineer, head of engineering on the Cerritos. He was pretending to be the alien, and now they have the information they need to find the officer so that they can locate him and protect him. Back with Mariner. Mariner and the Klingon come across a bunch of aliens fighting each other. You got Romulans, Cardassians, you know. Again, happy to see the Cardassians back. Would love to know what's happening on Cardassia right now. Again, still an annoying thing about Kurtz and Drek. We barely know anything that's happening in this galaxy. How the hell is it tell? Anyway, they're all fighting each other. The Klingon wants to go in there and pretty much kill them, and you know get some help. Oh, it also turns out the Klingon used to be the captain of the Bird of Prey, and he then had a mutiny against him. That was a little bit of stuff we found out about him. Anyway, Mariner jumps out of the bushes because she doesn't want to kill these people. She tries to get them to work together. She says, hey, listen, that communication thing, we can use it to send a signal to the Federation to come send help to get us off this planet. But we need to work together to do that. But the Romulans, Cardassians, and the Orion girls don't want to work together. So the Orion girls go over there to kind of kill Mariner, and Mariner says, I won't fight you, and she says, well, it makes it easier. Then Tendi jumps over, and as we all know, Tendi is some sort of royalty on the planet, so the Orion girls get on their knees and say, we do what you want, basically, and yeah, they all start to work together, and they then make up a plan, which is to pretty much try to get the Klingon Klingon Bird of Prey to get down to the planet, and so they activate the communication device. The Klingons see it, they head down to the planet, blow up the communication device, but Mariner and the group jump onto the Bird of Prey's hull, rip it open, they get into the ship, and the Klingon, who was the ex-captain, kills the captain of the Warbird, and it was kind of a really bloody scene. I am happy that they've given the Klingons back their purple blood. I've always hated the fact Klingons have red blood. Again, why are you doing that? They're an alien species. Can we just let them have that? Again, that did annoy me in, real Star Trek, when the Klingons would have red blood. I know it's from the movies, I know that the movies and the shows kind of do sometimes diverge, but again, Klingons having purple blood, I think that's just better, personally. Anyway, yeah, so they take over the ship, and they can now get off the planet and tell the Federation what's happening. But unfortunately, turns out somebody was waiting there, and it was the mysterious ship, and it beams Mariner on board it, and then the ship escapes, and then Tendi and Boimler then realise, holy shit, Mariner's been kidnapped. We got to go tell the Federation what's happened. And back with the captain and Rutherford, they find the warehouse the ex-Federation officer is staying in, and then they find the blueprints of the mysterious ship. So it turns out the ex-Federation officer they've been looking for is the person behind everything. And Mariner wakes up in a room, and then that mysterious guy opens the door and says to Mariner, can't wait to do some crazy shit with you. And that's how the episode ends. I enjoyed this episode. I think that one scene when Mariner's backstory is explained and what problems she's having with the Federation and her career, I love that scene. I do think it's the best scene in Lower Decks history. So this episode was really good. I probably will watch it again. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. So yeah, if you like, 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. I'm still going to keep it at that. But yeah, that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. And if you have a comment, do leave it below, and I'll try to get back to it. Ed Soldier, bye.